Hello, you're watching DD India and I'm Preeti presenting this edition of Self-Reliant India, a one-hour show we get for you every day wherein we discuss one issue, one aspect of the economy of the nation which would help us in realizing Atmanirbharta, which will help us in realizing and achieving a self-reliant India. And today we are discussing the guidelines which have been put forth by Ministry of Home Affairs. As we tell you, the Union Home Ministry has issued guidelines for effective control of the COVID-19 pandemic, and these will remain in force from 1st of April to 30th of April. In view of the increase in the number of COVID patients in some parts of the country, the state and the union territories have been ordered to strictly implement the process of screening, monitoring and treatment. In states where the ratio of RT-PCR tests is low, they have been asked to expedite it. The guidelines emphasize that the newly found positive patients must be isolated or quarantined and be provided timely treatment. Directions have also been issued to find out about the contacts of these new cases as soon as possible and also similarly isolate or quarantine them as well. The district administration has been instructed to demarcate the containment areas cautiously at micro level and notify it on the website. All the eligible people have also been asked to speed up the process of vaccination. To talk more about it, we are joined in by guests and we will be discussing in detail. We are joined in by Dr. Sunil Kumar. He is DG Health Services. We are also joined in by Dr. Sunila Garg. She's Professor of Excellence Community Medicine, MAMC. Dr. Sunil Kumar Rayana, Professor and Head Community Medicine, Dr. RP, Government Medical College, Tanda, HP. We welcome all of you this afternoon on Self-Reliant India, on DD India. When we talk of the MHA guidelines, we'll discuss, the guidelines in detail in the program. But to begin with, Dr. Sunil Kumar, I would want you to, explain to our viewers as DG Health Services, how do you analyze and how do you rationalize what are the reasons behind the spurt in the cases? Because we've seen that as a nation we have put up a brave fight against COVID-19. Why do we see a rise in the cases?
Okay, so thank you very much for inviting me on the panel. First of all, good morning to all.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
I see that the primary reason which appears to be there is that this virus is highly infectious. That's number one. Number two, we as humans have a short memory and we tend to forget that things may go nasty, and we are now a little bit negligent in our behavior, little bit ignorant in the precautions to be taken. Maybe a tiredness is also, fatigue has also set in. So these may be the reasons why we are seeing a new surge. And the third reason may be, which is not I am very sure that the virus tends to mutate and tends to become, a kind of a chronic problem in the society, in our nation or internationally. So therefore, these three are the major reasons, of which number two is the spot on. That is our negligence, our little bit of laxity in following the COVID appropriate behavior. We should avoid crowding. We should maintain hygiene of our hands, personal hygiene. We should have a social distancing still. And most importantly, the mask, which is to be worn properly, and the proper mask, not any mask, proper mask wearing appropriately remains the most important precautions. And if we do not ignore these conditions, then we are through this pandemic. Thank you.
All right. You are basically advocating behavioral changes in the people, that would help further strengthen the fight against COVID-19. Dr. Sunila, I would want your comments herein as opening comments. When we talk of our fight against the pandemic, where are we standing? When the pandemic struck the country, we were a nation without any PPE kits, without any medical appropriate or efficient, effective medical services. To this day, when we are having vaccine Maitri, to this day, when we have already inoculated more than 5 crore people, And also to this day, when international organizations, other countries are praising the efforts which the government has made in, in curbing down, trying to curb down the pandemic. So what is your take on how and where are we standing in the fight against the pandemic?
Thank you so much. And as Dr. Sunil, our DG, has also pointed out, basically, that you see, first thing what we have to remember is that the disease has not gone out of our country, which is one thing which we have to remember. Since the time we started, it went up and down, and again we can see a surge. So disease, number one, has not gone out. Number two, you see, we have got PPs, we have got, medical guidelines, which are not, I'll say that they are not the standard guidelines, but these are the ones which we are using as repurposive guidelines. And we have got vaccination. But then you see, another thing to be noticed is that, as has been highlighted, we are not following COVID appropriate behaviors. That is important. The third important thing which you have to remember is that we started with a good strategy of containment. First, we started with big containment zones. Then we came down to micro containment, and that means we limited the size of the containment zones, and we were doing testing, tracking, treatment, isolation, and all of that, which in between, and which included also contact tracing also. So we found that, in states of Kerala and states of Maharashtra and virtually, all the states, this whole thing has gone down. And another thing which we have to remember is that we do have vaccine there available with us, since January onwards, but we do see vaccine hesitancy, and we see all, kind of knee-jerk phenomena. Today, the director takes the vaccine, see in the beginning, people come forward for some time. Then, frontline workers, they come again, to take. Then our PM took the vaccine. Next day, you could see the people who were 60 years of age, kind of that was there. And then, we could also see the problem of vaccine eagerness also. But now it is a very good thing that, now, since yesterday it has been announced that from 1st of April, everybody will be getting vaccine, 45 years plus. And then we have to fight our mutant strains. We have a genomic consortium where we have got 5 regional centers, but the whole thing has to be made in public domain, which is very, very important. And we need to look at, because these mutant strains are the ones which are more infectious, number one. Number two is, as of now, they're not that severe, and the vaccination can tackle them right now. So we have to go fast with our vaccination pace also. Thank you so much.
All right, I'll bring in Dr. Sunil Kumar Raina at this point in time. Sir, hailing from Tanda, Himachal Pradesh, I would want you to, tell us, how do you gauge the pandemic? There are inhibitions, there is skepticism amongst people that this pandemic is more widespread in metropolitan cities. Is that so? Hailing from Himachal Pradesh, how have you assessed the severity of the pandemic, and added to that also the fight which we have put up against the pandemic?
First of all, thank you for inviting me, and I have a pleasure being in the company of my friend and a senior colleague, Dr. Sunila Garg, on this panel also. Now, we need to put it in the right perspective. Where do we stand as far as this pandemic is concerned? If you look at the numbers, yesterday we had numbers around 47,000 something, 47,262. Now, these numbers, similar to these numbers, we had seen in the month of November 2020. 2020, we saw the similar numbers that are now here. But the prime difference between those numbers and the numbers of today is that at that point in time, in November, we were on the descending arm of the pandemic. We were going down as far as the pandemic was concerned. But at this point in time, we are going up again. We are on the ascending arm of the pandemic. So that is something that we need to be worried about or concerned about. We need to address that as soon as possible. Second is, as the DG also correctly pointed out, there is a sense of fatigue, which is the public response fatigue, which may creep in every time we make an effort to tackle situation like a pandemic with the help of public awareness, or wherein we want a sustainable effort from the community. So the fatigue may set in. But one key element that this pandemic has thrown up, it was there in the first phase or the first wave of the pandemic. It is there again in the second phase or the second wave of the pandemic. If you look at the geographical distribution of the pandemic, Maharashtra is again in the news. It was there in the news when the pandemic struck us first. The maximum concentration of cases at this point in time is restricted to 5-6 states, but that doesn't mean it won't spread to other areas. If you look at few days back, Chhattisgarh was not in that list, but if you look at yesterday's number, Chhattisgarh is in that top 5-6 list. of contribution to the number of cases. So pandemics have a geographical distribution that has been known, that has been known through years. Spanish flu behaved similar ways, that some areas showed higher number of cases, some areas showed lower number of cases. Rural India has lesser number of cases. That's again a known fact that was seen in Spanish flu as well. And that is probably because of the fact that rural India is much more able to stay indoors, is much more restricted in their need for economic activities as compared to the urban India. That also helps us to develop better strategies as far as tackling this pandemic is concerned. So you have an area which has lesser cases and you have an area which has higher cases. The lesser cases area may have some advantages, or they may have been doing something good to prevent the occurrence of higher number of cases in that area. So maybe we shift or use that strategy in those areas wherein higher cases are present. Maybe something that I call as the green zone strategy. That is something that we need to advocate if we are really interested in getting down to the bottom of this pandemic. Thank you.
All right, green zone advocacy is what has been suggested by Dr. Raina. We'll talk about it more in the program ahead. But Dr. Sunila, when we are talking of vaccination, when we are talking of this stage of the fight against the pandemic, the MHA has specifically talked of the participation and the role which the states need to play at this point in time, and also it would be according to the requirements the states can bring in stricter measures that can be put in place. So now the onus is not only the center can initiate something, but effective execution would lie in the hands of the states. So more responsibility at the state level at this point in time when we talk of dealing with the pandemic.
Definitely, you're right. You see, one thing which you have to always remember, that health was always a state subject. The broad guidelines, they came from the center, and the states have to realize that the implementation part lies with them. So I will definitely at this point of time say that each state has to work out its own strategy. Like, different states, have now increased the timings with regard to vaccination, like 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And in the private and government sector, some of the facilities have already started, basically 24 hours vaccination as well. So that is one point. And the states have to see, because each state is very different. If I was to look at, Delhi part, or if I was to look at, Uttar Pradesh, or if I was to look at Maharashtra, each part is very different. What works on for Mumbai will not work on for Amravati or for Akola and all that. So, the strategies have got to be different, and number of cases are also different. We have to see that. So, but then one point is very clear, that we have to go fast with the pace of vaccination. However we may do that, particularly the challenge lies with the rural areas, though as pointed out by my colleague Dr. Raina, that number of cases are less. But the time will not be that if we are sitting on a time bomb, that if you see we do not control the cases in rural areas where we have much defined healthcare machinery, they can, and there is a frontline worker for every house. There is, we have got the healthcare workers, we have got, now health and wellness centers. So there is a defined machinery, so which can mobilize people, because it will not be that people will come and sit in the car, or they will be mobilized by the families. That can happen. But our healthcare manpower has to play a very critical role in terms of mobilization and bringing them to the healthcare centers. Because if you will look at the example of Bihar, I virtually remember that, when we went for recruitment of the cases for trials, Bihar has been in denial mode, and, similarly other places which have less of, it goes with lot of literacy and all of that. You see, they said, we don't have a problem of coronavirus, COVID-19 and all that. But then when we tested people for recruitment, 80% of the people were found to be positive at that point of time, and we could not recruit people for trial because people just simply could not perceive. And the testing was also very low. So that's where we have to see that one is perception about the disease also has to be uniform, that the disease is amongst us, and it has to be uniformly, kind of disseminated across all states and all parts of the states. That means when we talk of rural part, urban part, or urban slum part. The second important thing is that our machinery, whether it is healthcare machinery, or you see when we talk of the in the urban areas about the district level offices and all, and plus the private sector that has got a critical role to play, including our different professional organizations which have got a very critical important role to play, you see, so that they can come mobilize people. You know, I belong to Indian Association of Preventive Social Medicine and to OMAG, which is a combination of about 15 professional associations. So they can play a very important role of mobilization of people, and they are the ones who can create a lot of awareness so that people can come forward. And our pediatricians have been doing immunization since time immemorial. And yesterday there was on one platform, and I was there, the pediatrician said that why don't you give us 1,000 doses each and we will give the record. We have been immunizing people, so that is the important thing. The state has to respond in their own manner. They can engage private sector, public sector. They can decide the timings. They have to look at the rural part, urban part, because every state has got that part. This is how we have to address this issue in a big way.
All right, you're talking of awareness, ma'am. I'll take that forward to Dr. Sunil. Sir, would you say that people are more aware now, having faced the pandemic for almost a year in the country? Because ma'am was talking about vaccine eagerness. Ma'am was talking of vaccine inhibitions as well. You know, somebody who's taken the first dose, do you witness some sort of laxity in the attitude of such people, that you know they can do away with the virus and still there's no need for the second dose? So would you say that there is a sense of lack of awareness, or are people more aware now?
Well, people are more aware. There is no doubt about it. People, we have been facing this pandemic. Actually, we just passed 1 full year. We just celebrated, kind of a thing, not exactly celebrated, but inverted commas. We have had now 1 full year of our experience with the pandemic. So people are very aware. The primary reasons for this are manifold. The dissemination of the information is fast and rapid through the internet as well as electronic media. Plus, we have availability of Google, plus we have availability of WhatsApp group. In fact, there is a WhatsApp university, and things are disseminating through other social media also very fast, no matter whether we have lockdown, whether we have some other condition. So the newspapers are also playing their own role in dissemination of these information. So the public is very well informed. Rather, actually, they are also guided by a number of other information, and then they tend to make there is an official information, then there is a public information, then there are expert informations, etc., etc., and then public then have their own common sense information also, and the decision final is based on a number of factors, and the science at times takes a back seat. That's why there was some hesitancy in the beginning. That's why there were some fears about some vaccine in the beginning. But gradually, what we experienced as the government was that the hesitancy and the fears were replaced by eagerness to get the vaccine. So the people were coming, people were wanting to have the vaccination done. They were willing and they were coming forth on their own. In fact, many of them, many a times we were facing the situation that please give us the vaccine. We have come, we are not registered, but give us the vaccine. So the vaccination, there is a lot of awareness about it. People know that it can prevent the disease. It can cut down the chain. So therefore, we are aware about it. Now, as far as the availability of the vaccine is concerned, that determines actually the number of people who can be vaccinated and the people at the pace at which it can be vaccinated. So there are a number of things. The need, the desirability, they are two different things. The need has to be clearly the reason for vaccinating the people and not the desirability and the availability of our resources. So these two, the need and the resources will determine at what pace we have to go.
All right, we'll talk more about the resources, in the fight against this pandemic. But at present, we are heading for a short commercial break. You're watching Self-Reliant India. And today, in the show, we are discussing the guidelines which have been put forth by the Ministry of Home Affairs, to help fight the pandemic. And to what extent are we successful in implementing the guidelines, and also what is the road ahead when we talk of this fight against the pandemic? We'll talk more about it. Stay with us. We'll be back in a short while.
The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The Breakfast News, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on DD India. Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Middle East countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Self-Reliant India, and today we are discussing the fight against COVID-19 and also the special guidelines which have been put in place by the Ministry of Home Affairs that will be in effect, that will rather remain in force from 1st of April till 30th of April. We're joined in by guests. We're joined in by Dr. Sunil Kumar, he's DG Health Services. We're also joined in by Dr. Suneela Garg, Professor of Excellence, Community Medicine, MAMC. Dr. Sunil Kumar Raina, Professor and Head Community Medicine, Dr. RP Government Medical College, Thanda, Himachal Pradesh. Dr. Raina, when we talk of research on the pandemic, and also when we talk of testing and treating, the guidelines specifically have talked of how testing has to be further ramped up. Now, we began on a very naive state when we talk of the beginning of the pandemic to this day, when lakhs of people are tested, every day. How have you evaluated, how has testing evolved in the country, and what is the road ahead further when we talk of, further enhancing testing?
Testing is something that Government of India has invested in a lot and has done exceptionally well. If you look at where we started from, when we began in the end of February and March, we had one single lab which was testing, testing for SARS-CoV-2. The RT-PCR testing was done at a single lab. Now at this point in time, we have labs in excess of 2,000, around roughly 2,400 labs in private and public sector, which are testing this virus now through RT-PCR. Now, testing has improved a lot, and testing is probably one of the keys for overcoming this pandemic. But beyond testing, we also need to understand a few things. I will just digress from here. we need to understand, is vaccination the single tool which should be applied for overcoming this pandemic? I'm not very convinced with that vaccination is the single tool which will prevent this pandemic. Vaccination cannot be the single tool because of the fact that, vaccination has not been tested in young kids. Still a large population in which these vaccines have not been tested. The pregnant females will again remain a group in which these vaccines have not been tested. So the shift, as Dr. Suneela has really hit it on the head, is you have to involve the community, and community participation will be the key for a sustainable movement if you want to overcome this pandemic. You can't enter into a yo-yo wherein we see that cases rise and fall, cases rise and fall. We have to have a sustainable effort, and the sustainable effort has to come from the community. Now, if you want to boost that sustainability, if you want to give a flip to that sustainability, testing will be very important. You need to identify as many as possible, and testing will be the most key component for that. You need to isolate as many as possible. Again, testing will be the key. You need to identify contacts. Testing will be the key. So testing has to be ramped up, not just because of the fact that you want to identify cases, but also if you want to isolate, you want to take care of the contact, or you want to treat the patients. So for that, testing is the key. So ramping up the testing will be important, and India has done well. India needs to move further, maybe increase the testing, maybe allow further private players to take testing and invest in testing and increase the probability of getting tested at all locations across the country.
All right, I'll take that forward to Dr. Sunil. Dr. Sunil, what is your take on that? When Dr. Raina is talking of sustainability, in treatment, in handling of the pandemic, at the same time, he's talking of private-public partnership as well. Allowing private players to invest in research and in testing that would further, further give more strength. What is your take on that?
There is no doubt about it that this is a pandemic in which the government has to fight, has to take along the private partners as well. And this has already been done. We have ramped up the testing from our own government setup as well as from the private setup. Many private players who were responsible, who were accountable, who could do it in a responsible manner, and whose credibility was established beyond doubt, they had been providing services to the community, were included in this program, and were given the role to play, a definite role to play, and they had played a role that was not only limited to the private labs, but was also involved the private hospitals. So both the private hospitals as the private labs have played their role, which could be said to be vital in the pandemic management last year.
All right. When we talk of, the global fight against the pandemic, where are we standing, Dr. Suneela? Because we've seen even the WHO has, applauded the fight which we have put up against the pandemic. So when we talk of other nations also, which are bracing against the virus, we've seen how badly the US is hit, and how other countries are also under the lockdown. So globally, when we talk of the fight against COVID-19, how are we placed?
See, when we talk of our fight, particularly India's fight, against COVID, WHO has applauded the events of all the efforts of Indian government, because you see, not only we have moved and we have sustained our systems in terms of, as was pointed out by Dr. Sunil, and both Sunils, Dr. Sunil DG and Dr. Sunil Raina, who is HOD from Tanda Medical College. So both of them, they pointed out that we have moved from scratch, actually from virtually nothing when we began with the lockdown. At that point of time, we removed the, kind of fear from the mind of people. We switched on to digital, which was, of course, a newer mode. We switched on to, developing our own PPEs. Now we are at one point of time, we are able to supply, PPEs to different countries. Then, came the point of testing, and gradually, the time teaches you everything. We started modest, but then we opened up to the private labs, which are accredited labs and all that. So we scaled up our testing part. Then we came out with the Ministry of Home Affairs, let me tell you, has been very, very particular in coming out with the guidelines from time to time. And when you open MOHFW website, from time to time, the change of guidelines also was loaded the same day. So where we talked about the containment part in a very big way, right from macro containment, now we talk of micro containment. So, and then we got the vaccine in a record period of time. But then, we do applaud the efforts, but still there is a long way to go. I will just say that as compared to other countries, we have fared very, good. Where first of all, our healthcare providers, I'll give lots of, pats to our healthcare providers in managing this pandemic. So that is another important thing which needs to be looked into in a big way. So you see, that is because we came out with, if we never had the main guidelines, we came out with the repurposed drugs also. So our mortality became all-time low, particularly in Indian settings. We talked about repurposed vaccines at one point of time, like BCG and all that. So, we have made a very humble beginning, but we are now at a stage that we are not only vaccinating our country through national vaccine, we have got vaccine nationalism, but we are in a position to supply to other countries as well. And we are looking at the strategies which will fill our needs, which will fill, which will fulfill other countries' needs. So that is important. But you see, every pandemic teaches you a lot. So that's where I will see that, as compared to other countries, and we are time to time addressing, the issues of hesitancy part, as has been pointed out by DG also, that we have got a very good communication module, which addresses, advocacy, which addresses capacity building, which addresses the role media has got to play. So I'll say India's role is very commendable. And every point, but when you deal with the pandemic, is associated with a lot of challenge. Like yesterday, when we got 80% cases who were suffering from mutant strains in Punjab, you see, so that means we had this UK strain. So, now we are strengthening our genomic sequencing also. So we have to look at different parts, but I will say that we have done very well in terms of, looking at the pandemic part. And we are looking at now gradually the organizations are becoming much more transparent as well. So, but you see, no battle can be won without cooperation of public. That's where we came out with the guidelines for resident welfare associations also, where they have been involved in a big way in terms of identifying people, because earlier there was a lot of stigma, discrimination, fear, as far as healthcare workers were concerned. They were not allowed to even go back to their homes and all that. So we prepared the guidelines for resident welfare association, in which, most of us were involved, I'll say, from our different associations as well, and which were released by the ministry and Niti Aayog as well. Because at every time, pandemic is associated with something new and something, which we have to, it's a challenge every time.
Yes.
So this is where we are fighting, and we are fighting consistently with, I'll say that people may be fatigued, but I'll say overall we are not fatigued at all. Thank you so much.
All right, overall we're not fatigued at all. Dr. Sunil, there is also, specifically, there is also specific mention in the guidelines on further enhancing vaccination. How can that be done? Because on one hand, we're already, the government is already providing vaccines free of cost at government establishments, government hospitals. At the same time, in the private sector, the vaccine comes at a very nominal cost. So what more can be further done to further, enhance vaccination, the vaccination drive?
Well, the vaccination drive right now is going at the pace at which it has been set up by various conditions, which it has been determined by the availability of the vaccine and the desirability of the vaccine or the science behind it, to whom the vaccine needs to be determined. Right now, one thing is very clear. As Dr. Sunil Panda from UK mentioned, the Uttarakhand mentioned that everybody does not need a vaccine. So this must be very, very clearly mentioned that vaccine is not the answer to everything. Yes, what vaccine is required and to the correct persons is must be delivered in time. And that what is the time, this is determined by a number of factors as to what is the number of population that needs to be covered, what are the available resources to deliver that, and what is the availability of the vaccine which is right now in India. We have other candidates also in the process or in the queue, and as the capacity to come up with more and more vaccine increases, as the vaccine, more and more vaccine becomes available to the country at our service, there is a possibility that the vaccine can be opened up at a larger pace, at a greater pace. But at the moment, the pace which has been determined or the rate at which we are administering the vaccine seems to be fine with the requirement of the pandemic. Thank you.
All right, I'll take that forward to Dr. Raina as well. So you had brought in green zone advocacy. At the same time, Dr. Sunil is talking of need and desirability of vaccination. I would want you also to further elaborate on how further can vaccination drive be strengthened.
He is absolutely correct with what we are doing at this point in time. If you look at the strategy that we have, it is the vaccination in India is currently in a regulatory framework mode, wherein the vaccination strategy is regulated, and we have decided that we will move from phase 1 to phase 2 and then phase 3 onwards. So we have specified that this is the people that we want to vaccinate in phase 1. We have to vaccinate this type of people in phase 2. And we have, at this point in time, involved the both private and public sector to implement our regulatory framework strategy. If we want to vaccinate more and more, we need to probably move out of this regulatory framework strategy, and we need to move into the zone of mass vaccination, which can be advocated. So how do we do that? Now, at this point in time, India doesn't have an adult vaccination program. It doesn't run an adult vaccination program on lines similar to the universal vaccination program that we run for our kids or our mothers. We have to have a program similar to what we do for our young kids and mothers, and maybe develop a program on similar lines to that for vaccination with regard to this pandemic. So what do we do? So we involve the private sector, we involve the public sector in a large numbers, deregulate the regulatory framework, and allow people to get vaccinated at places wherein the vaccines may be made available, adhering to the strict guidelines that have been envisaged from Government of India from time to time. So that's how we can do it. And on a larger scale, if you look at the country at this point in time, most of the states across the country have developed their own COVID-19 facilities. So most of these districts or most of the medical college headquarters do have COVID-19 hospitals established under the government grant now. Now, most of these COVID-19 facilities can again function as vaccination centers where a large number of people can be vaccinated at one go, because this will be exclusively for purpose of COVID-19. So probably moving from a regulation to an unregulated strategy in the mode of mode similar to the universal immunization program that we run for the kids and the mothers will help this. But before that, we also need to establish the safety and the efficacy of these vaccines for a lot of population that has been left open at this point in time. As I said in my previous talk, if we look at the kids, we still don't have efficacy and the efficacy and the safety data on the kids at this point in time. We don't have the efficacy and the safety data on mothers at this point in time, and that makes a substantial number of people of this country. So we have to have that first, and then maybe move from regulatory to an unregulated framework wherein most of the public and the private sector can be involved to deliver a vaccination in the same mode as we do for the kids and the mothers. That's one part of it. But as I said, vaccination may not be the single tool. It may not be the single tool to take care of this pandemic. Not for now, not for a long period of time. Vaccination has never ever been used as a single tool for taking care of pandemics or in epidemics of larger magnitude. You have to look at the other possible strategies that can be used to prevent the impact of this pandemic. And as I said, going for that the green zone strategy may be very useful. The government of India has done exceptionally well when it established those guidelines. If you look at the world across, the countries that have done well have better health infrastructure. If you look at, for example, Australia, it did very well. New Zealand did very well. Taiwan did very well. These are countries, small countries, and with good care health infrastructure. So them doing well may not be something of a big deal. But our country, with the magnitude and the vastness it has, and with the infrastructure that we have, not as good as compared to Australia or New Zealand, we have done exceptionally well. So we need to utilize what we have learned in the first phase of the pandemic. We learned in the first phase of the pandemic that we need to restrict and regulate the traffic, the travel. That is something that we need to, again, resort to in those geographical zones wherein cases are coming up again. So maybe these zones wherein higher number of cases are there, regulate incoming and outgoing, regulate traffic. One will be that. Containment strategy, government has envisaged, that is something, again, brilliant. But we have
Yes,
to be very...
please continue.
But we have to be very decisive with what we are doing. We have to move swiftly. We can't wait for months together and implement a strategy. The government has to be swift and decisive with what it is planning now for these states wherein the infection is there. Because once this infection will spread to the other parts of the country, it will be again the pre-September times of the country. So moving into these zones which are high in cases, isolate them, make them action zones, and test, treat, isolate those who are testing positive, identify their contacts will be very effective. Put punitive action. Anybody who is violating government guidelines, put punitive action on that, put a premium on that. So maybe fining somebody with a 500 rupee or a 200 rupee for not wearing a mask in public places may not be good. Go for higher premium, maybe 5,000, 10,000. People will stick to the guidelines. Then only if you are putting a higher premium on your behavior. So that is something that needs to be done and regulate the traffic, test. That is something that has to be done. And incentivize any state or any geographical area of a region which is doing well in these things and has seen a drop over a period of 2 weeks or 3 weeks after having a higher number of cases can be incentivized. Open those areas only of that geographical location which has shown better results than others. Incentivize them and tell people that if you do well, you will have more chances of opening up for a long period of time. If you don't do well, whether it's your COVID appropriate behavior, whether it is your testing, if you don't do well, you will continue to have that yo-yo. You will have less number of cases today, and after a few days, the number of cases may increase. So if you want to tackle this pandemic, you have to act decisively now and now only. We can't wait for tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow.
Yes, indeed. Important points put forth by you. Swift and decisive action is what is needed at this point in time, as also is incentivization of the states important. We'll talk about it more, but at present we're heading for another short commercial break. We are discussing the guidelines which have been put forth by the Ministry of Home Affairs to further enhance the fight against the pandemic. We'll talk more about it. Stay with us. We are heading for a short break. We'll come back soon.
नमस्ते इंडिया
नमस्ते लैंड
मरहबन इलल हिंद
सलाम इंडिया
नमस्ते इंडिया
नमस्कार भारत
मुई इंडिया
नहनु हुनूर
इंडिया
माँ हिंदी हस्ती
हिंदियान
सलाम हिंदुस्तान
वी आर इंडिया
Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in all Southeast Asian countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching Self-Reliant India, and we are joined in by guests who are discussing the guidelines which have been put forth by the Minister of Home Affairs to further strengthen the fight against the pandemic. Sir, we are approaching towards the fag end of the program. When we talk of the pandemic, it has, it did bring the world to its knees, but at the same time, lessons have been learned, new norms have been set, and we all are living in what we call the new normal times. So when we talk of the fight against the pandemic, or for that matter, the near future, what is the road ahead, the journey ahead likely? Dr. Sunil Kumar, to begin with you first.
Well, I want to, come back to the issue which has been raised by our respected colleague, Dr. Raina, in the last session. See, public health matters are not really dealt by punitive actions and incentives, because they are very, very large matters. They involve the large number of population. It involves the world, it involves the nation, it involves the entire state. These strategies in such situations are advocacy, lead by examples, IEC, that is the educational materials, effective communication, effective implementation of these strategies, and monitoring and constantly evolving your strategies as the scenario unfolds. So these are the methods by which, the generic methods by which the public is dealt with. We must remember that our common citizens are equally harassed. They lose their wages, they lose the touch with the community. There are social problems associated with these pandemics. The people, the families suffer, the communities suffer. On top of it, that means the hardships increase in the societies. And on top of it, if we talk about punitive actions or things like that, they repercuss, they will go back. We should remember that in USA, there were large-scale agitations against the lockdowns. So similar things should be avoided. That is my take on that. Now, as far as the your question is concerned, as to what was your question? Sorry.
Yes, when we talk of the road ahead, when we talk of the journey ahead,
the road ahead. It's a long way. We must remember these pandemics, they keep on affecting the community for a longer period of time. They are not short-lived afflictions. They affect the world, the humanity on a larger scale for longer period of time, and this pandemic is not any exception. So therefore, we must be prepared ourselves internally within our minds to fight against this problem in a conclusive manner over a long period of time by proven strategies such as testing, tracing, containment, and
treatment.
Treatment.
Yes.
Treatment would include the isolation also. And how to augment this, all these things will be through examples by our leaders in the community, leaders of the nation. The leadership role can also be played by people like us who have a public face, public image. Like, for example, on day one, I took the vaccination to encourage the people that it is safe to take it. So those kind of roles, those kind of advocacies, those kind of communication, those kind of messages to the public in a sustained manner, in a deliberate manner, in the desirable manner, in an acceptable manner. We have to make this program their own program. We have to throw this thing in such a way that people accept it and say, yes, I must do this because this is for my own safety.
Yes.
So that is what is required. And then we will be able to fight this pandemic in a decisive manner. Already we are probably in the last phase, and I think God willing, we should be able to, we may be seeing the end of it very soon. Nonetheless, maybe it can go on in a very chronic and subtle manner to some extent, but then it is eventually probably going to die out.
All right, I'll take that positivity and optimism to Dr. Garg as well. Ma'am, your closing comments, a brief, quick closing comments on the show.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. Basically, the Ministry of Home Affairs has come out with the guidelines yesterday, which are very, very, full of, they'll say that if we follow these guidelines, I'm sure that we are able to make a difference to the whole pandemic. Like it came out with the testing, tracking, demarcation of zones, quick isolation, and strict adherence to the protocols. The second part it focused upon was the vaccine. We have to put the local restrictions. That means wherever, there is a high pandemic, the high prevalence of infection, then we have to look at, we have to follow the area specific guidelines. And we do also have to protect our vulnerable populations like elderly and all that. And we have to make use of Arogya Setu apps and all that. And then another thing is that we must be beware of any fake news. That is important, and the strict action must be taken against that. And any offenses, even created by government, will also be taken up seriously. These are the guidelines of the Ministry of Home Affairs, I think, and we need to be in consonance with the Epidemic Disaster Management Act. So I think all these things are going to make a difference in a big way. And as has been pointed out repeatedly, that we go consistently, and our aim should be one to root out of the disease out of our country as early as possible, which will be when the virus is not going to find any susceptible host, whether we are vaccinated or whether we are following COVID appropriate behavior and we are following social distancing, sanitizing, and another thing is that we are masked all the time. So that is important thing which we have to follow.
Yes, so behavioral changes and awareness are the key elements in this fight against the pandemic. Dr. Raina, would you add more to it?
That's absolutely fine. But before that, I would like to respond to Dr. Sunil's punitive action concept.
Right.
What I meant by that is, if you look at the examples that are available with us across the world, if you look at the fines that are there in Australia, if you look at the fines that are there in New Zealand, if you look at the fines that are there in Vietnam or that are there in Thailand and Vietnam are countries similar to us. They are way higher than what we have in India. Now, we already do have fines. As such, we do. It's not that we are not having fines. We already do have fines. What I am trying to say is that increase the level of fines. Why this is important? It's because of the fact that we are putting a premium on the fact that anybody who violates the guidelines will have to pay for it. Second, as he said, very rightly said, that the common people are suffering because of this, the punitive action. The fines may make them suffer. The government needs to step in and provide something that I suggested in my second paper on what government should do is establish mask points. Now, these mask points should be made available at each major economic activity areas. So everybody who doesn't have a mask, provide him with a mask so that he wears it. Now, if despite the fact that you are providing somebody with a mask free of cost, the government is providing it, the economic activity areas or zones are providing it, still that person is not wearing, that means he or she is not willing to respond to what is being established as a law in this country. And therefore the punitive action should follow.
Yes.
So that's something that I wanted to say. It's not that I'm saying that put all the onus on the community. You have to have a multi-pronged strategy, and punitive action or fines is a part of that multi-pronged strategy.
All right.
Developing an awareness, creating an awareness is a part of it. But we have seen that there is awareness fatigue is a common thing that has been seen across the world.
Yes.
We don't behave like Americans. We are a much more vibrant community. We are a much more responsible community than others. We have seen that we have been successful in curbing the impact of pandemic in September. And the points that were highlighted in that were again the same, that fines was one of the reasons that we were able to implement our strategies in a much
Yes.
better way, to a much better way, and curb the impact of the pandemic. So maybe fines is not a bad option, and maybe supplementing them with mask points will be something which will be considerably of help to common masses.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Raina. Thank you so much, Dr. Garg and Dr. Sunil, for joining us this afternoon on Self-Reliant India and sharing your insights with us. So that was our esteemed panel wherein we discussed and they put in their viewpoints with regard to the fight against the pandemic and also the guidelines which have been issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs. Added to that, it is the onus lies on the citizens, on the common people to make sure that they make behavioral changes in their lifestyles. Remember, wearing a mask is the best precaution you can have against the pandemic. And in the approaching season of festivities, the holy season, the Navaratri season, the festivities, make sure you protect yourself and not only just yourself but also people around you by wearing a mask correctly and properly. On that note, we'll end this edition of Self-Reliant India here. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.